Shreen asked me if I wanted to produce a package myself, and I was really excited about that. And so we were trying to think of what to do, and she suggested a lady who's been working with SPNN on and off for about 20 years. Her name was Jacquie, and so we set up the interview, shot it. The challenges, well, there was one big challenge. I got the piece pretty much completely edited, and well, it was completely edited. I was actually in the process of I was just gonna zip a copy off for myself so I could have it a copy for my demo tape. And it was just one of those mornings I woke up and my head wasn't on straight or something, and I accidentally plugged the drive into the wrong power source, and it completely fried it, and I lost the whole piece, and I had to recapture all the video and edit it from scratch. But really, I think that ended up being for the best, because before, when it was finished, I looked at it and I liked it, but there was just something about it that didn't quite satisfy me 100%. And you know, having to go back and re-edit it, I really think I pieced it together, and I really brought the focus together a lot more, and I think it's a lot better now.
I was an independent producer, I guess you could say, and it was not SPNN back then. It was called CASP, C-A-S-P, Cable Access St. Paul, in the early 90s. And I started with my own show. I did a late-night show called Blues and All That Jazz. And I was not the on-air talent. I was producer, director. I did the lights, I did the set, I did everything, and brought my friends into the studio, my music friends, to produce a show which was very much, at that time, like a Johnny Carson type show. Oh. And now all of a sudden that whole genre of reality talk shows kind of exploded. But back, I'd say about 89 and 90, I probably had one of the first ones on TV. But it was just too much for one person to handle. Plus my day job at that time, I worked for WCCO Television. I worked in their news department. I was a producer, production assistant, assistant producer, news grunt. I did everything there. That was my paid job. But at night, I got to do the blues, and that's what was fun to me. Sometimes it's classified as jazz, sometimes it's classified as blues. That's what I play on my radio show. I do a show on KFAI radio. I'm a DJ there with Afternoon Drive Time show, and I focus more on the ladies' side of the blues. Afternoon Drive Time, KFAI radio, 90.3, 106.7 FM. I call what I do, it's an empowerment show for women. I promote the female side of the blues, but I also promote what women do out in the community as well. I've had a college dean from Concordia College on the show to talk about what she does. I even had Representative Neva Walker on my show when she became the first black woman in the Minnesota House of Representatives. I even had Mayor Sharon Sales Belton on my show. So it's not just about music. It was about women and their accomplishments in the community. I've had several different shows, and in fact, I produce this live show now at Shaw's in Northeast Minneapolis on University Avenue, but originally I did it at a club in St. Paul called Arnella's. That got so successful at Arnella's that I turned it into a series. The SPNN van came out to Arnella's. We taped 4 different Mondays, and I ran the Best of series on television here at St. Paul Neighborhood Network. Then when I was no longer doing it at Arnella's, before I started at Shaw's, I had people come into the studio, and I did another version of it here at SPNN and did it live on a Monday night here, right here in the studio with a live band.
We are coming to you live right now at SPNN down here on Jackson and 5th in downtown St. Paul. Joining me as always, my fabulous house band. I call them my Blue Diamonds because everybody gets a chance to shine. Just like our band leader and our lead guitarist over here, Mr. Mark Lemoyne, all the way from St. Paul, Minnesota. Get it.
As a novice performer, I would go out to the other blues jams in town, but I wasn't getting enough time on stage because, there's other performers. And so at the most, a performer would get one, maybe two songs. So I created something for myself so I could get more time on stage. Unfortunately, it hasn't really worked that way because it has become such a success. I have so many performers that show up, I still only get one, maybe two songs on stage with my own band at my own venue. But it's a good thing because success means that it has become a prime spot for a lot of performers. It is what is known as a pro jam. So it's not just the jammers like myself that show up, but a lot of the performers, the professionals in town that show up and come and want to hang out. I do it different than any other jam host, maybe because I'm the only black female with my own blues jam, but I do it differently. It's not about the house band, it's about the jammers. People come because they know they can find performers. Bands have been formed at my jam on a Monday night. People come in looking for players. That's where the players are. Everything I do is always sort of focused on the blues, and there's a reason for that. Blues is the root music to a lot of other music, as I just mentioned earlier, whether you want to call it funk or soul or jazz. But blues itself has a root, and that root sound is African music. It came with slaves from Africa. In Africa, what we practiced as our music was also our spirituality, and it's alive in the blues. When you hear the lyrics that talk about Mojo Hand or talk about Little Johnny Conqueror, it's giving you information about the spirituality of the African slaves. Whether you want to call that voodoo or candomblé, santeria, it's all about lowering the barrier in between the material world and the spirit world. And that's how you know it's blues, where it hits you, where it touches you. That's how all music is able to go from soul to soul, because it touches that place called spirit.